our world. It really was. But the blessing is she hasn't stopped on the other side. She's still working this energy. Now, talk to me a little bit about you did the narrative on this incredible book.
We call it narration, Lisa.
Narration.
We call
okay,
it narration.
Thank you.
Right.
And did you feel as you were doing it a shift in her energy, like pulling her energy in? Did you feel her energy around you working with it? Did you feel, like Arielle was saying, there's different emotions or feelings that come with each prayer. When you were going through it, I'm sure that there was all this essence that you must have felt when you were doing it. Is that true?
Well, sure. I mean, the book is a beautiful book. It is truly the brightest of Debbie's light that she shared with the world, and it remained hidden until Arielle was, encouraged to find this book. The prayers are beautiful. The fact that I hadn't really grieved her being gone in a way that I feel was super healthy for me. It was a lot of guilt and sadness, and I wasn't around Arielle and her mom and Brian and Bo and all of these people who were comforting each other. At the time, I was living in Florida, so I felt very alone and very disconnected from the whole thing.
Okay.
When Arielle wrote me in the fall of 2017, she said, "Do you do audiobooks?" I had no idea that this was the book, and she didn't tell me. So I literally had to audition, not knowing whose book I would be reading. So then when I received
wild.
the book, yeah, she didn't tell me because I guess she didn't want to disappoint me if they didn't choose me to be the narrator. And that would have been, another blow for me. So the fact that it all came together in this beautiful way, and Arielle orchestrated it so beautifully between Harper One and the audiobook people, and when it finally came to be that this would be a book that I would read, I just myself in the book and really got a sense of what Debbie was trying to express here. And so through this, it became my own grieving process. In other words, you read Drenched in Holiness. That was truly the first thing I needed to read to get into the book. And I broke down numerous times in just trying to get through the first, this first piece. And I thought, how am I going to do this 80,000-word book if I can't even get through this first piece? But
it's a heavy one, though, man.
Yeah. And you know a lot about this. You and I got to share a lot of this stuff. So when it finally happened and I was working with this incredible woman, Amy Rubinate, who does the audiobooks, her company is called Mosaic, and just she and I were in a recording studio, I felt deeply connected to Debbie, and I literally had to read her story, and because I knew her story like my own, I truly went somewhere else as I read it. I still have not heard the audiobook, so I have no idea what the voice sounds like that I used. I never really heard anything that I've recorded. So I'm just going to pray that I honor this book in the proper way by lending my voice to it. And it was quite cathartic, and at the same time, I was going through a lot of my own stuff, and I've definitely felt Debbie very near me, rooting me on, and especially through this last Oscars. That was her favorite show that I did, and there,
that's
the 2008 Oscars. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Let's talk about the Oscars, because that's, you're the ninth consecutive year of announcing the Oscars.
No, not consecutive. Right, it was my ninth time. Right, not consecutive.
Ninth time.
They change announcers.
Pretty darn lovely.
Yeah, they change announcers with the producers. So it depends on who Yeah, so that's why it's never been consecutive, because they keep changing producers, and each producer wants to create their own sort of sound and environment around the Oscars. So it was my 9th time, and it was magical for me. It was obviously a redo from last year, the same crew, the same producers, Jimmy Kimmel. All of us on the show got to come back and do it again, and I do think we got it right this time.
Nice. Well, it was such an unfortunate snafu, and it was really handled so well. I think it was really handled very well in regard to just being honest. So
you're talking about last year when Warren and Faye read the wrong name, and we had to fix it before we got off the air. I did think that was a beautiful moment for humanity to watch what happens in real time and how we should all handle getting our legs kicked out from under us. Jordan Horowitz. That was an example of Hollywood at its best.
It really was. I thought it was a very present moment. Everybody was very present. They were very clear. There was a lot of integrity. I gave a lot of kudos to everyone involved there, because it wasn't things happen, but so it happened and it was handled
like
well,
life.
So, right. So it was so great that everybody was able to come back and knock it out of the park this year. So it was such a beautiful, beautiful evening.
Even bringing Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty back, which apparently someone that information and spoiled the surprise for the audience, but nonetheless, it brought some laughs into the theater when they saw we were going to do it again, and the whole night was an amazing experience. And as I was saying about Debbie, it was her favorite show. She did finally get to go to the Oscars with Jennifer Todd's sister, Suzanne Todd. They produced films together, and Suzanne Todd had brought Debbie to the Oscars. It was a year that I wasn't announcing it, which was a bummer for me, but Debbie finally got to the Oscars, and any Oscars that I had done, she would call me halfway through and say, "You're so amazing, it sounds so great." She would just be my biggest cheerleader next to my mom.
Oh, how sweet. How wonderful. How long did you know Debbie? You knew her a long time. You know the whole family, didn't you?
Yes. Well, in 1976, yes, Arielle and I first met in 1976 in Miami. And it was through Arielle that I met Debbie. But Arielle and I were really, really good friends at first, and then through that relationship, Debbie and I became really good friends. And in the last, 20-something years of her life, we were besties, and we traveled together, and she would bring Bo, and I would bring my daughter Rachel, and the best vacation we ever had was in Aspen with Debbie and Bo, and watching my daughter learn to ski with Bo. It was really a magical, special, special time that we got to share. And, so the impact she left on me is significant in my life, but truly, you can't be selfish about Debbie. The impact she left on so many people, the thousands of people she helped through her shadow process, which I've done numerous times. And she'd say, "You want to do it again?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And then I would go, and I'd wind up sobbing and, releasing so much more of my stuff, stuff that I thought I was clear with. And there's, a never-ending process to staying whole and healthy. So, and that's the gift that she gave us.
It's that wonderful, wonderful journey that never, ever ends, isn't it? It's that piece. As soon as you feel like, you can rest, and then there's something else that shows up, and it says, "Hey, here's some attention."
Exactly. And Debbie's relationship with Oprah, I love that your relationship with Oprah has really been so connected, and you know what I mean? It's like you stepped in. There was an opening there, and you stepped in, and everything that you are about is perfect.
I don't know what my opening is with Oprah, honestly. I have no idea what my opening is with Oprah. I've always connected with Debbie. I think, we both struggled with drug addiction. We both, very connected to God. There's a lot of parallels in regard to, Debbie's shadows and my shadows that we both worked on, and I relate a lot to Debbie. Her energy is just very transparent, and she's very, very clear. There's no BS. She is what she is, and we both have a little bit of a potty mouth, which I really like. So that we're a little spontaneous in that realm. But I really felt like if Debbie was around, I feel like I know her on this level in essence, and I knew her briefly through you and mutual friends, but I never broke bread with her. So her essence is one of those pieces that I felt very strongly when she passed, and even grieved her death like she was a friend. And it was a very powerful passing for me, I have to say, because having sisters myself, I immediately projected into how Arielle must be feeling and how she must be moving through the journey. And then having known that you were connected also, there was also my grief for you in losing a connection, and there's this energy and essence of hers. She's flashed in and come through quite a few times here with me here, and it's been quite astounding how clear she comes in around me. And even as I was doing this show, her energy has been very, very present, and she's quite, she's a little cheeky like I am, so I like that. There's that spontaneous piece there. So, but I see her work as something that it lives on, and even in your, in you talking about her and the essence that you bring forward as knowing her for so long and being friends. Did you watch her evolution over time? Did you watch her growth as she evolved into the radiant essence she became? Or was she always this?
I bet. I think I watched it. I watched it grow and change, because when I first met Debbie, she was doing drugs. It was a part of the time, and I don't think we judged. We didn't think about it. Those of us that participated in doing drugs in the 70s and early 80s was like, that was just what the culture was for those that had issues, that wanted to sort of forget about who we were for a moment and just get lost in shifting your space, by doing drugs and not wanting to feel and look at things. So I saw her go from that to this person that cleaned up her act and got very clear on her addiction, and then realized that even though she had gotten clean, it didn't change the aspects of herself that she wanted to disown. She was like, I'm clean, but I still don't like myself. I still don't love myself. What is that? She thought that getting clean would clean that up, and it didn't. So the fact that Deepak supported her in creating the shadow process is what shifted everything for her. She, of course, wanted to have people around her all the time. Debbie was a girlfriend. She loved her friends. She loved being sourced by her friends and the energy and the love. And so she created this shadow process that really helped her be complete with who she is and what her purpose was. And in fact, at some point in her life, she was able to have a glass of wine, or, certainly at the end, she had to take painkillers and smoke pot and do things to sort of help numb the pain. But she actually got very clear with addiction. And she was able to have a glass of wine again eventually and not become the addict that she had been. So that tells me that she really did clean up her stuff and that she no longer had that need to lose herself in drugs or alcohol. Well, alcohol wasn't really her big problem. So, and I think that the work that she does and the example she held out